Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I realize you cannot see me. Okay, there we are. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Redseapodcast. This is Dennis, as usual, coming to you once again with the weather not changing much since yesterday. Coming to you from a very rainy Greece, and it's rare, and I tend to try and avoid doing back-to-back episodes uh, because YouTube pushing two videos together is very iffy with how YouTube works lately. But I just had to come on here and talk about all the chaos that's been happening ever since that cup final that we ended up losing yesterday. But before I get into all that, if by any chance you're new here and you like what you say, this show is growing massively episode by episode. So, first of all, welcome. I hope you enjoy the ride. Uh, this is nothing professional, this is just a fan speaking his mind very gratefully with the platform that he's been given and giving all of you guys to speak your mind without a fear of being judged or absolutely anything like that. And do go like and subscribe if you like what you see. And all the socials are down below. There is a link in the chat for you to join me on here. And in general, this show is very interaction positive. You can message me with whatever you want. You can drop your questions after, wherever you're listening to, whether in the comments on YouTube or Spotify, or comment anything you want in any of my posts. I don't want to waste a lot of time shamelessly promoting everything because there is generally so much to get through today. For those of you that do know me or have been watching for a while, you know that I more or less get into this uh, not unprepared, but I mostly like to speak from the heart. It's easier, in my eyes at least. And yet, today I sat down and made notes because, as I wrote in the description before starting this is probably going to be one of the most rantful episodes that this show has ever and probably will ever see. But yeah, let's start because there is really a lot. So if you see me looking down as well, aside my laptop, I'm looking at my notes just in case I don't forget anything. Of course, score was Panathinaikos 79, Olympiacos 75. Nothing too impressive. It, I think the best way to describe this game is that it was very messy in general. No one really showing up to the top of their game, par most, but we'll get on to that. Uh, one more time with Panathinaikos where we get into the game mentally unprepared. I think that's a bit safe to say. We just look like not a different team. We look very hesitant getting into the derbys, especially in those first quarters usually. And I don't really get why we look so hesitant. Yeah, we did. We did close out the first quarter, leading 16-21, but there were some mistakes that, in my opinion at least, are unable to be excused. Of course, no one is a robot, and I'm not going to stand here and say that people expect everything to, people should expect everything to be absolutely perfect, but still, some things were just questionable, to say the least. The first thing to be pointed out statistically is that our free throws once again were absolutely horrible. There were missed free throws by Pub, missed free throws by Moose, missed free throws by absolutely everybody. 7 out of 16 is bad. Like, let's not lie to ourselves. 7 out of 16 is very bad. And the free throws for me are a major uh, reason in that led to the loss. Uh, 2 pointers wise, we weren't that bad with 67. And then you look at the 3 pointers with a 30%, 8 out of 27, with 30 out of 60 field goals in general. Lacking a bit in the rebound perspective, but again, I looking at the stats of the game and I can just point out things here and I think that, for example, the free throw. But the problem really did look both preparational and mental. We just looked unprepared. I think that's the biggest thing that I personally can put out there regarding our entire image of things. Of course, stat wise, if you look at it personally, Sasha and Evan did sign with 17 7 and 1 and 11 3 and 3. But again, even if you look at the stats, even if you look at how Sasha and Evan look to have played immensely, which they usually do, and I'm not saying that either of them played bad. If you sat down and watched the game, then there was still just that little gap missing. And again, as I've said many times, especially basketball wise, there is a difference between criticism and there is a difference between demolition. We shouldn't demolish absolutely anything that this team is doing, but a lost cup final is a lost cup final. I'm not undermining the cup or any cup, and with a team built to absolutely run through everything, we shouldn't derail ourselves from the two main goals that are still ahead of us and very winnable if we stick together as one. But the lost cup final still is it is a blow to the heart. You can't deny that. It stings, especially from Panathinaikos. But again, I'll get into all of that as time goes on. The credit needs to fully be given to Mus Mustafa. Mustafa Fall finishing the game with a double double of 10, 10, and 2 with 30 minutes. And just, it felt like he was the only one to get into the game with a derby mentality, if that's the best way you can put it. And it felt like he was the only one to play up to the standard that we know our players can play. Because I really have nothing negative to take away from Fal's performance. And aside the amazing main stats, you also have to call back to his two incredible blocks. On the other side of our bigs, though, we have to open up by talking about Lutinov. I don't know what's happening with Nikola. Of course, we all know that there is a contract situation at hand, but I have more or less decided to not get into that because Uh, it, of course, first of all, isn't my place to get into that. And second of all, I would be a complete liar if I sat here and told you that I knew what the hell was going on with that. But the owners, Coach B and Nicola, need to sit the fuck down and talk about what's going on. Is it because Milutinov has signed somewhere else? Is it because Milutinov has decided not to renew? I don't know. Do I personally want Milutinov to go? No. I like Milutinov a lot as a player. We know what he can give. We know what he's given in the past. But this dip in form is very concerning in my book because it's not just a dip in form on the field. He looks unmotivated. He looks completely unmotivated. And it may very well be a contract situation. But the team needs to sit down with the player. The coach needs to sit down with the player and talk about what the hell is happening. Because, as I said earlier, there is two massive, massive goals still ahead, and the main big one, of course, being the EuroLeague. And we need everyone to give their all to the team because there is still a lot of positives to call from this team. We know that, and we mustn't have another Sluka situation on our hands. I'm not saying that Mill will go to Pana, but if it's a contract situation that's in his head, sit down and solve that, whether it goes one way or another. And if that sit down talk happens, I'm sure that of the best version of Nikola Milutinov will be back, the version we all know and love, and will have one of the main powerful units of this team back in our hands. But the talk needs to happen, and it needs to happen fast. And the break, in my opinion, is one of the best opportunities for the team to sit down with Milutinov and figure out what the fuck is wrong. Because this can turn bad, and it can turn bad fast. There is a whole injury story coming out. I don't really believe that, but I'm not going to stand here and say that a player is healthy or a player is injured for sure. But something is fishy about this whole story. The team needs to sit down with the player, and I hope everything is going to turn out positive, and we'll have good old Nicola back in our hands. Another person that, again, this now slips into more of a Barzokas situation. Uh, you all know how much I love B, and I'm not here to destroy anything that is done, but for me, fault on the loss falls on everyone, including Coach B. And one of the things that I personally would have done differently, and I think the majority, if not all fans agree, is that I have given Larejakis more game time. Arguably one of our best, a man that gives his all for this team no matter what's happening. He was on incredible form and he was messing with the power players. You could say that. And I don't know why he didn't get more game time. What happened. But this is just one of the minor things that uh, I find negative about the a thousand things that I find positive regarding Coach B. But sometimes the rotation is a bit. Mm, sometimes the rotation is a bit. Mm. But again, I'm just speaking from a fan's perspective. I can't say anything too concrete, but I'd have given Laretjakis more game time. Another person that, in my opinion, should have gotten a few minutes at least, and you all know how critical I am of him. You all know that I'm not exactly the most supportive of him ever since he came back, but I would have tried to give Dorsey some minutes as well, mostly to just give Goss some breathing goddamn minutes. When I was scrolling through uh, Twitter yesterday and I saw that some people were blaming Goss for the loss, I was just sitting down like this, looking at my phone in absolute disbelief. Goss, a player that's been carrying the team at the guard with no one able to play, a player that's been playing 30 to 35 minutes for the past fuck knows how many games, and he's been blamed for one mistake. And sure, it was a bad mistake in a streak of mistakes after we turned the game around and had a chance after two very poor quarters. But for the love of all that's wholly above, how can you sit here and blame Ghost after the streak of games he had? And it's not that the focus was on the mistake. They just straight up blame Ghost for the loss. Because as I said on this so many times, as I said when I made a guest appearance on the OnlyFans podcast, it's like Masuras. I'll keep bringing this example again. Just like Masuras, for some fans, was at fault for absolutely everything going wrong with Olympiacos, when something goes wrong with Olympiacos BC, for some reason, 90% of the time, Ghost is the scapegoat. And I want someone to try and make sense of the argument that, for example, yesterday was majorly on Ghost because I can't grasp that in my mind. I really can't grasp that in my mind that people can sit here and blame Ghost. And he does deserve some vacation. I couldn't agree more. uh, but yeah, going back to Larejatis to slowly transition into another subject that I genuinely despise getting into, but who would I be if I didn't touch on absolutely everything that's happening? Uh, Going back to Lara, the thing with Lucas, we all know what player and a person Lucas is. We all know uh, his feelings towards the team. And another thing which Lucas has created a lot of division between the Olympiacos fans, especially on Twitter, and I'll get into that right after. But I'll sit here and say that for me, Larijakis did the right thing, and we shouldn't give flying fuck about whether Lucas pushed him away or not. I'm gonna stand on what our player did, and Larijakis did the right thing. Now, Christ above. I really didn't want to stand and comment on this subject before I went live to fully try and fledge out my opinion because with the two sides that stand in this argument, I'm on the fence, and that, of course, was Sasha Vezenkov hugging Lucas after the final ended. we all know they're good friends outside the games. We all know uh, that they've always been good friends, and the two sides are that with what Lucas has done, uh, Sasa shouldn't do that right after a lost final, especially. And the other side is that after the game, anyone can do whatever the hell they want, friends, not friends, or anything like that. Did it bother me personally, speaking as a fan? Yes. At that moment, it bothered me. And uh, solely speaking from a fan's perspective, I didn't like seeing that. But I am not gonna sit here and say ridiculous things that Sasa doesn't respect the fans because he has Lucas. Sasa doesn't respect the fans because of the things he says in general about the two clubs. Because I've heard every single thing. I've heard that Sasa is disrespecting the Olympiacos fans. For me, those arguments are absolutely ridiculous. Uh, would I have liked for that to happen after the game completely and outside of the court? Yes. But I am not gonna stand here and say that Sasa should do this, Sasa should do this. Um, Anyone can do whatever the hell they want. Uh, in my humble opinion, I am gonna say my opinion as a fan, but up until that, I'm not gonna take it to one end to say that it didn't bother me at all and whatever, but I'm not gonna sit here and take it to the other end as well and say that it bothered me fully in such as disrespect. Because uh, both arguments are valid, all opinions are accepted, but I stand somewhere in the middle. I actually didn't have this in my notes, so the the bringing up is very appreciated. That people are talking about Luca Vildosa not wearing the medal. You all know me. You all know my competitiveness. The fact that I've played basketball since I was 8 years old. Uh, Never really was on the winning side of many trophies throughout my very small time on an academy. And do I blame Vildola? No, no, I do not really blame Vildola, but this more or less ties in with the next argument and the biggest argument I wanted to bring up, that there was gonna be comments from Pana fans. As expected, they are the winners of the final and we are the losers. And the fact that these comments, like for example, Vildosa, uh, the clip with Vildosa not wearing his medal, having Pana fans saying that he regrets being here and he was lifting the EuroLeague last season and shit like that. The fact that this is clouding over some Olympiacos fans and they're falling straight headfirst into the absolute chaotic toxicity that's being created, that we know has been created for Lord knows how many years now. And there are comments about Vildoza, about Sasa, like I mentioned, about Barjokas, because it's absolutely ridiculous in my eyes. It's so fucking stupid that people were calling for Coach B's head, or people were saying that this year is without a discussion B's last chance and he needs to go if he fails this year anymore. Uh, the fact that this cycle of toxicity is being created and being spread from here to here, from this guy to this guy, and it just drifts the Olympiacos fans apart. I can't, I can't uh, process it. I can't. I really can't. I'm sitting here watching a team I've loved ever since I was 10. I've loved this team all my life, but I've been seriously watching for the past 10, 11 years. I'll be 21 in 2 weeks, so 11 years. Uh, and I'm of the opinion that everyone deserves support, every aspect of this team, every department of this team, no matter if we win, lose, demolish, or get demolished. And again, the argument that gets brought up in my head is that criticism, especially constructive criticism, is way different than demolition. And it's a habit of Olympiacos fans to lean towards demolition. And this toxicity, as I said, is just making everything so, so much worse. You don't know which side is worse sometimes. I've said this on Twitter in a response. It's just a cesspool of absolute shit when a derby is lost on our end. Because as I said, just distraction goes through the roof from coach base head to blaming players to calling for players' heads to the owners to anyone and everyone to fans being divided between each other, fighting constantly. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And another thing that I find absolutely, excuse the word, absolutely out of this world, completely. I don't think I can say the word, but you all know where I'm going. I think that the life will be just banned if I say the word. So let's go with absolutely, completely out of this world, stupid. Uh, that there are fans of Olympiacos that hate specifically on the basketball team. I've seen ever since, because I wasn't an active user of Twitter, especially for many reasons before I started this. So I've seen people call basketball team soft because, of course, you all saw the clip that fans went to support the team after the loss, which for me is the bare fucking minimum to go support your team after a cup final loss. People have called the basketball team soft. People have called the basketball team overprotected, overrated, and there has been a division between fans, because for me they're not fans, of solely football and fans of Olympiacos in general. And that for me is so dumb. How can you be a fan of one department of a team and hate on another? Like, Jesus Christ, that's so stupid. That's so stupid. And it proves to me that the Greek fan mentality, that again, not excluding myself from, I was angry as all shit yesterday. I think that's owed in the football show as well. But calling for players and the coaches head, as I said, just completely demolishing what this team is doing and can do, uh, saying anything and everything and dividing departments, for me, is a mentality that sadly a lot of Olympiacos fans will never get over, because as much as I don't have uh, I'm not that in touch with the other fan bases in Greece. I see that so much from a majority of our fans that we don't deal with losses well. Everything just goes kaboom. Whether we lose just a simpler game, and especially when we lose a game like yesterday. The team may have played incredibly. The weaknesses and the mistakes may be on show, but the majority will just sit here and just blow it all up. And I don't get it. Count how many times I've said I don't get it in this show and take a shot. Yes, because it's been so much. And another thing that I do want to focus on is that I don't get why after each and every loss there is just this unwillingness to sit down and discuss opinions. The category of people that just sit here and say this was shit, this is unfixable, he needs to go this and that, don't listen to arguments. And I don't get why. I can't sit here and say that I won't defend. I will always defend my opinion. Maybe my opinion isn't agreed on by anyone else, but I will always sit here and defend what I believe about this team and this club. That's the voiceless. That's the motto of the show. Either way, but I will always listen to arguments and so happily admit when the fuck I'm wrong. Like, come on. Why are we acting like 5 year olds? Why must we be acting like 5 year olds? I don't get it. I really, really don't. It's just, this show is just full of rants. So if you're stuck by me, I salute you and I thank you. Up to now, there is a bit more to get through, but I've gotten through most of my notes faster than I expected. I don't want to sit here and talk about the referee that much. I made my feelings for the specific referees known on Twitter yesterday, but the fact that the Panathinaikos fans, again, for me, the stupidity runs in every club's fan base, and they're not true fans, the ones that complain, for example, for the refs constantly. And I'm not excluding us from this because there is a tendency. The Panathinaikos fans are absolutely insufferable in this department, but there is a tendency that whoever loses just blames the ref. But the fact that you can sit here, win a cup, and blame the refs, that blows my mind. That completely blows my mind. Of course, the usual moments were there regarding Sasha Vazenkov, and I will kind of steal a thing that was said on Twitter that regarding some people that are generally genuinely good people, how they've been so brainwashed, completely brainwashed by you know who, to constantly complain and say something that they say, not listen to any logical argument, back up the illogical stuff they say with more illogical stuff, think they're right 100% of the time. It's crazy and it's a shame, honestly, that most of that fan base is an absolute same. Um, what else? I wanted to say something building off the whole referee crybaby rant. Yes, I remember. Okay. Uh, this is more of a general opinion, but the fact that some people that haven't even sniffed a basketball, that's why I tend to open more shows introducing the newer people to this channel with I'm just a fan speaking from a fan's perspective. Of course, I try and gather some stats to give back to you all. I try to focus on trying to give him more professional reviews, but this show will always be by a fan and for fun. The fact that some people that haven't even sniffed basketball in their life sit here and analyze stuff. For example, the main person that's been attacked, as I mentioned earlier, was Nikola Milutinov. The fact that people sit here and try and analyze why Milu should go, why Milu is useless, why this, why that. People have been calling Milo overrated using his CSKA stats. For those of you that are on video, so the face that I put on. Uh, the fact that people try and act so professional and yet they haven't sniffed a basketball within 2 millimeters. It's so crazy. But some people think they know the world and yet they can't even defend one opinion. Some people really need to just, and this isn't ironical at all. Some people really need to just put the phone and the keyboard down when watching a game. Some people really need to do that because after a while it's not just annoying, it's embarrassing. And again, I'm speaking on both sides because both sides, after a point, are just absolutely ridiculous. The last thing I want to talk about regarding all this whirlwind of toxicity, and do comment down below whether you're listening now or after if I forgot something that you'd like me to mention, because it's very possible that with absolutely everything that happened, I've forgotten something that even I would have liked to mention. Uh, is, of course, the man yesterday standing and saying that, not yesterday, the day before the final, standing and saying that he doesn't care about the cup and this and that. And we all saw his celebrations yesterday, having 8 fingers up. Uh, I think Ataman is, I'd say, one of the main cores of the toxicity that's spilling over to our side. And my personal opinion, at least, on all his shit is to just ignore him. Like, genuinely, come on. We shouldn't spill to his level and we shouldn't just fall for some shit he says with a very clear intent, at least in my eyes, very clear intent. So, come on. This is a whole different convo, but I'll get into it. This was said regarding the whole division thing with fans. I mentioned that some fans just hate on the basketball team. I both agree and disagree. Some fans just don't take basketball seriously, and that's another annoying thing that fans that stand and criticize the team to an absolute illogical level. For example, as I said, all the examples that Coach B needs to go, that Minu needs to go, that Coach was at fault, this, that, uh, have never stepped foot inside Seth. And the fans that are shitting on Seth as well. Again, not the fans that are criticizing the the home game atmosphere, fans that are destroying it. uh, just like they're destroying everything regarding Olympiacos Messi, have never stepped foot in Seth. Now, the fact that Seth has been underwhelming in some games this season is a fact that's clear as day, and something needs to be done for that as well. But something needs to be done for Seth in general. Like, let's not lie to ourselves here. Seth has floated thrice this year, if I'm not mistaken, and something needs to be done not only with the atmosphere, but because this isn't a proper basketball, a fitting basketball stadium. Something needs to be done with that in general. Now, as I said, break is here, a break that gives us a massive chance to just take a breather, fans and team alike. We play on the 28th. Okay, excuse my bad guys for a second. I just couldn't say the date of the next game. We need to just take a step back, relax. The team will talk between each other, figure out everything that went wrong. We as fans need to just breathe amongst ourselves. Of course, there is the fans, including, dare I say, me, that are the most voices of reason right now. And you all know who you are, those that are listening, that I've had the most civil conversations with. Uh, and we need to keep being together, keep being behind this thing. Because, as I've said countless times, the past 45 minutes that I've been streaming, almost 45 minutes, uh, the two biggest goals are still ahead of us and they're very, very winnable. But it's not only the team that needs to figure out their shit and stay together, it's us as well. We need to support this team more than ever. We need to stay logical, we need to stay calm, and we need to fight with this team, whether that's the people that are going to the stadium, whether that's us at home, on socials, and everything like that. We need to stick as one. And for those that don't like that don't like that Olympiacos is gunning for everything this year, win or lose, you can stay behind. And as Sasa said earlier this season, if I recall correctly, if you don't want to join the ride now, don't be there when we win the big one. And you know what the annoying thing is? Because this episode wouldn't end fittingly if I didn't end with another rant. We play Bologna on the 28th. If we go to Italy, because I'm pretty sure we do play at Italy, and just absolutely spunk up Bologna. Let's say Sasa drops his usual 22, Evan drops close to 20, Ghost plays well again. A good help for Thomas and Luca are both healthy, and maybe Keenan is back. I don't know if Keenan will be back for Bologna. Maybe he'll be back, which is another very exciting prospect that people are overlooking for some reason. Uh, the incredibly strong Moses Wright may even be bad, which I did mention on my last appearance on the Olympiacos podcast. As I said, please do go check that episode out if you haven't. I know a lot of you came from that episode. Uh, so again, thank you. Moses Wright will be back early, and it's possible he's back as early as Bologna. Uh, so the team will get stronger. But the annoying thing is that if we go and do that and everything is positive and everyone is celebrating, the people that were hating on Barzokas now, were hating on Milutinov, let's say Milutinov has a good game as well, were hating on Ghost again because Ghost, the scapegoat as usual, the love of all that's holy. Uh, and we're hating on everyone. We'll sit there and celebrate like they said absolutely nothing because some fans can't handle losses. And those fans don't deserve to be at the top with the rest. And I think that's a perfect way to end this. Going for almost an hour. I'm not even gonna lie, I really thought I would go for a bit more, but I hope I covered everything. Comment anything you want, as usual. I'll see it. Comment questions, opinions, if you disagree with me, if you agree with me, and bigger and bigger things will be coming. I'll see you all soon, and as usual, thank you.